Hi, hello everybody. My name is Professor Abdul Karim from University of Science Malaysia, and in this lecture I will talk about the processing of fats and oils. We focus on the extraction process. Okay, let's start by looking at the overview of the process of oil processing. So basically we start with the raw material. So the raw material can be the seed, for example, from soybean seed or the cotton seed, sunflower seed, or from the oil palm fruits. Then the oil has to be squeezed out from the raw material. So for this purpose, we can use two types of extraction. We can use an organic solvent. So this is a solvent extraction, which will extract the fat or the oil from the fruits or from the seed. And another process is without using solvent, which is basically we call physical extraction. So usually this is using a mechanical press, for example a screw press, to expel or to extract the oil physically out from the seed or from the oil. At the end of the extraction process, what we'll get is the crude oil. So the crude oil usually contain a lot of things, undesirable components such as free fatty acid, FFA, or it can contain phospholipids, pigments, and a lot of moisture. So this is something that is undesirable. So the next process is to purify the oil, and basically this what we call the stage or the process of refining. To refine the oil, to remove all the as much as possible the undesirable components from the crude oil. So the first stage, basically the first stage of the oil processing is to extract the oil to get the crude oil. Then after that, refining. Then the second major stage in the oil processing is the modification. The objective of modification is to modify the properties of the oil to produce oil products with different physical properties. Some of these modification is process, for example, hydrogenation. This is a very widely used process in the industry to increase the melting point and solid fat content of the fat. So usually we use this process to produce a product like margarine. Then there is also interesterification process and also fractionation process. So the idea of this modification process is to produce various types of oil products which have higher value and which can be used for many food application. You may be familiar with a few types of vegetable oil, but commercial oil can be extracted from various types of seed and fruits. So for example, on this slide you can see that oil can be extracted from the soybean, from the palm oil fruits, oil palm fruits, from canola, from sunflower, from the coconut flesh, and from the palm kernel. So for the oil palm, this is the oil palm fruits. The red, the orange flesh outside is from from where we can get the crude palm oil, and the white flesh inside, this is actually the palm kernel, and we can actually extract the palm kernel oil, which have different physical and chemical composition from the palm kernel part. Then oil also can be extracted from corn, from cotton seed, from olive, linseed, sunflower, safflower, and from castor oil. I will now focus on the extraction of palm oil from the oil palm fruits. So you can see on the slide here, the picture of the oil palm fruit bunch on the tree, and this is a picture of the fruit bunch and the cross section of the fruits. And if you have not seen how the oil palm tree looks like, this is how it looks like. The tree, this is still quite it's not very tall, so you can see the fruit bunch between the fronds like this. So you have to be very careful because there's a sharp thorn between the fruit bunch. If you're not careful, you can get your fingers or your hand injured. Okay, this is how the oil palm fruit bunch looks like if you have not seen one. So you can see there's a sharp thorn there, and it's the fruitlets. Down here you can see the fruitlets been stripped out or come out from the fruit bunch. And if we take a cross section of the fruitlets, you can see this mesocarp or the flesh area. This from the part where we can extract or we can get the crude palm oil, and the white flesh is the palm kernel, and surrounded by the shell, the hard shell. So we can basically we can get two types of oil here: the crude palm oil from the mesocarp and the palm kernel oil from the white flesh or from the kernel part. So after the extraction, we can get from the mesocarp or from the outer flesh, we can get the crude palm oil. So the color is very dark orange color, and here you can see in this picture the oil has actually separated into two layers. The bottom layer is contain a lot of insoluble component or phospholipids and other things that need to be removed, and the upper layer is basically the oil. And the kernel, the middle part of the fruit bunch here, this is how it looks like. Actually the shell is very hard. We have to break the shell to get into the white flesh, and we can extract the oil from the kernel to get the crude palm kernel oil. And this how the crude palm oil looks like. It's quite thick and viscous with red or orange color. Actually it contains a lot of rich amount of carotenoids. And in this picture you can see the side by side the comparison between the appearance of crude palm oil and the appearance of crude palm kernel oil. And here again the more close-up picture of the oil palm fruit bunch. Looks very beautiful, isn't it? So the story starts from the plantation. The fruits, you can see here the oil palm tree here now is quite tall, so we have to use the pole to bring down to harvest the fruits from the tree. It's not a very easy job, I can tell you. Then the fruit bunch will be collected. These days we can use the tractor or the modern means to collect the fruit. Then the fruit will be transported by train or by using a lorry to the factory. As you can see here, the tractor bring a full load of oil palm fruits into the factory to be processed. So if you live near the plantation, you can see sometimes the fruits now in this case the fruits is being transported by the a train here, and this train actually will go to the factory. And this is how the palm oil mill looks like. So you can see the oil palm fruit bunch being stored in the open space here, and inside here where the processing take place. So now let's look at the extraction process. And before that, we can see again this nice picture of the fruitlets from the oil palm fruit bunch, and it's a picture of the kernel. And the kernel, the outer shell is actually very hard. So to get into the white flesh inside, so the shell has to be broken before we can extract the oil from the palm kernel. So for the preparation of the oil palm fruits before processing, so usually we will go through the sterilization process. Before pressing out the oil from the oil palm fruits, the first step is the sterilization process. And in this process, the oil palm fruit will go through the sterilization in the sterilizer. The function of sterilization process is to deactivate the lipolytic enzymes. The lipolytic enzymes such as lipase in the oil palm fruits can cause hydrolysis of the triglycerides or the fat to produce free fatty acid, and this is undesirable chemical reaction that need to be stopped. So by using the high temperature in the sterilization process, we can deactivate the enzyme and stop the hydrolysis process. The function of this sterilization process is to activate the lipolytic enzymes. In the fresh fruits, the presence of lipolytic enzymes such as lipase can cause hydrolysis of the triglyceride to produce free fatty acid, and we don't want to produce a lot of fatty acid in the fruits, because you can get high amount of free fatty acid in the crude oil, and this will require a lot of refining later to remove the free fatty acid. And the high temperature during the sterilization process also serve to soften the fruit and to facilitate the removal or the stripping of the fruitlets from the fruit bunch. Also, the high temperature in the sterilization process will sort of soften or precondition the kernel, so that the kernel shell is not too hard. And during the process to separate the kernel from the flesh, it will reduce the breakage of the kernel, so that this will facilitate the separation of the kernel from the flesh in the processing of the palm kernel oil. So this is a typical site in the factory. You can see the fresh fruit branches in the metal cages ready to be loaded into the sterilizer for the process of sterilization. And this is the picture of the sterilizer. You can see the long barrel of the sterilizer, and the door here, and this the rail where the metal cage will come in from this direction and will push through into the sterilizer. So typically in the factory you can have a few sterilizer for the sterilization process. And in this picture you can see the metal cage containing the fruit bunch is being pushed inside the sterilizer. And this is an example of the schematic diagram of a screw press. This might not be the same type that we normally use in the extraction of palm oil. In this case, this is actually the screw press for the oil extraction from the fruit or from the seed. So basically, it consists of the screw here, and the feed inlet here, and the cage, the metal cage, and the outlet for the oil, and the process of extraction of the oil will occur inside this structure. So this is a nice flow chart to show the various stages in the palm oil processing. So we start from transporting the FFB, the fresh fruit bunch, from the plantation by using various means of transportation. Then it will go to the oil mill, to the plant for processing. Then here, the whole part here is actually the oil extraction at the oil mill, starting from the sterilization to deactivate the enzyme and to facilitate the process of the stripping of fruitlets later. Then the next process is stripping, which is the process to separate the fruitlets from the fruit bunch. And this will go through the extraction process to extract the oil, and then the purification process to remove the majority of the undesirable component in the crude oil. Then finally we get the crude oil. But at this stage, the crude oil still contain a lot of fatty acid, high amount of free fatty acid, maybe between 3 to 5%. It contain gums, phospholipids, waxes, pigments. So this need to be removed in the process of refining. And we will look at refining process later, but basically we can use physical refining by using steam, or we can use chemical refining by using alkaline process. But both, whether physical or alkaline refining, the idea is to remove the gums or phospholipids, free fatty acid. So various stages of refining, and finally we will get the refined oil. RBD, palm oil here means refined, bleach, and deodorized palm oil. And we can get various byproducts from the refining process, for example, fatty acid, distillate, or the soap stock. This is another picture or the flow chart showing the same process as the previous slide. So basically we start by transporting the raw material into the factory, and it will go through a sterilization process, and the whole process here is the stages to get the crude palm oil. And the kernel, which is the middle part of the fruits, will go a separate process, usually a different part of the factory, to produce the palm kernel oil. And this is yet another flow chart. Looks like more complicated, but basically it consists of the same stages to produce the crude palm oil and also crude palm kernel oil. So again, we start here. This is where the FFB, or the fresh fruit bunch, it will go in through the sterilizer, then the stripping process to remove the fruitlets from the fruit bunch, then the extraction process here, clarification process to remove the sediments and other raw undesirable components in the crude oil, and finally we get the crude palm oil. And on this part here, this is actually the process to produce the crude palm kernel oil. So we can summarize the extraction of palm oil from this diagram. So we start with fresh fruit bunch. It will go through the sterilization process, stripping of the fruitlets, then the extraction by using screw press, and the clarification and purification before finally we get the crude palm oil. And the kernel will go through also a separate process to produce the palm kernel oil. This is a picture of crude palm kernel oil, and this is the refined palm oil. RBD stands for refined bleach deodorized palm kernel oil.